All right, y'all look like we live. Hold on, let me see. Let me see. No, it hasn't given me a notification. Oh, there go the notification. Okay, we live. We are live. First and foremost, give all praise to you. How about Shema Shabbat and give us a sincere greeting to the brothers and sisters scattered across the four corners, teaching this word with sincerity and charity. Wednesday's class. All right, this is a touchy topic, man. This is one of those doctrines where brothers is going back and forth and back and forth. And I'm not telling you you're gonna get your answer today. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna lay down all the pieces, or if anybody got some other pieces that we don't go over, or if we need to look at them in different gospels, let's feel free to bring those things out if we can get a little more meat off of that. Is one thing I didn't do, just for time purpose. I didn't go through and look at all the accounts through all the gospels, so it may be some meat that we leaving off, but we do got a good chunk where we can get a little understanding and try to come to a conclusion. See if we can come to a conclusion on this thing. What sayest thou? All right, is he Elijah? And just put it in the comment. Ain't no wrong answers. And I'm not here to force no doctrine on you. I'm not here to tell you anything. I'm just here for people to, give you the information and you come up and you conclude what you think. Anything. I'm just here for people to. Shalom, Mark. My mic sounding good. Okay.
It is. I can hear you. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, brother. How you been?
Oh man, no complaints. All praises.
I hear that. All praises. But yeah, man, we gonna get into this thing, and a lot of people don't want to do it, but we gotta talk about it. We let a lot of doctrines just hang around. And we don't put this information out. And really we just got to put the information out. Maybe somebody comes with the answer. Maybe we get an answer from this. Maybe we get closer. But we got to go through these things. We can't just some of these we just can't keep running from. Just can't keep running from these things. Got to look at them and examine them and see what we can conclude. Or we don't. Well, you know what I'm saying? We just still stay in limbo. And I say, man, we don't know everything, man. We still trying to learn this thing. And if any brothers and sisters out there that got any comments or anything to add, you know what I'm saying, feel free. And make sure y'all hit that like button, notification bell, subscribe button if you're not subscribed. To help us out, get us in some algorithm, whatever that is. And so we can get these numbers up. We're gonna go ahead and crank this thing up, man. It shouldn't be long. It's only 10 slides. It shouldn't be. We shouldn't be. And then we got about first three. I ain't talking about nothing. All right. Is Elijah, was John the Baptist really Elijah reincarnated? Is Elijah John the Baptist? See, we just went through 2 slides just that fast. Luke 1:13 through 17. Luke 1:13 through 17. And we're gonna be bouncing around a little bit in this thing. Go ahead, dog. Come now.
This is Luke chapter 1 and verse 13. But the angel said unto him, Fear not, Zacharias, for thy prayer is heard, and thy wife Elizabeth shall bear thee a son, and thou shalt call his name John. And thou shalt have joy and gladness, and many shall rejoice at his birth. For he shall be great in the sight of the Lord, and shall drink neither wine nor strong drink. He shall be filled with the Holy Ghost, even from his mother's womb. And many of the children of Israel shall he turn to the Lord their God. And he shall go before him in the spirit and power of Elias, to turn the hearts of the fathers to the children, and the disobedient to the wisdom of the just, to make ready a people prepared for the Lord.
All right, to make ready a people prepared for the Lord. He shall go before him in the spirit, in the power of Elijah, who is Elijah. And this is where we gather that, John is gonna be Elijah. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna have the spirit and the power of Elijah. And then we see some of the things that he's gonna do. He's gonna turn the hearts of the fathers to the children, the disobedient to wisdom of the just, to make ready the way for the Lord. All right, to be there, to make ready that testimony of the Lord. So this is where we get it from. But what Shalaki, what is spirit? What does it mean to be in the spirit and the power of Allah? What does it mean to be in the spirit and in the power of someone? How do we define that? And that's one of the things we'll have to do is, what does it mean to be in the spirit? What does it mean to be in the power? You're going to be, does that mean that he's going to be Elijah? That's what we'll have to think. But let's define spirit. Strong's definition, you got current of air, breath, or a breeze. By analogy or figuratively, a spirit, i.e. human, the rational soul, by implications, vital principle, mental disposition, superhuman, or an angel, demon, or divine God, Christ spirit, the Holy Spirit, ghost, life, spiritually mind, and then compare G559. I should have did that. In a regular, just a regular standard Oxford dictionary, it's the non-physical part of a person, which is the seat of emotions and character, the soul. We seek a harmony. So example here, we seek a harmony between body and spirit. Those qualities regarded as forming the definitive or typical elements in the character of a person, nation, or group in the thought and attitudes of a particular period. So, Shalom, brother Alazar.
Hey, shalom, Ox. How about you, Shalom.
Yeah, and then they got an example here. The universe is a symbol of the nations. Egalitarian spirit. Anyway, we see here a spirit also meaning some qualities or characteristics of an individual or group or nation of people in a particular period. So how do we use it? How do we usually use it? What would you say? What would y'all say in the spirit and the power of Elijah? There ain't no wrong answers.
Shalakia. I was just reading it in the NLV, and it says, verse 17, he will be a man with the spirit and power of Elijah. So I would assume from that he's coming like the same way, maybe the same amount of passion or the same doctrine, and maybe with the same delivery as Elijah had.
But is he Elijah?
Nah.
Okay. All right. Brother Alazar, okay. Like I say, ain't no wrong answers.
Yeah, okay. I think that that's I know we used to teach that was that regeneration, but after examining the text, I see a lot of times, even with Christ, and how Christ came from the lineage of David, and so a lot of people say, well, that's Solomon. Christ is Solomon reincarnated or regenerated. But I think that's like the brother was just saying, as if, like in the same manner, but not necessarily mean the same spirit. And I mean, not the same person of the spirit, but in the same spirit, if that makes sense. Not you.
Okay, come. Shalom, brother Mike.
Hey, shalom, family.
Shalom. Huh?
Did you catch any of that? In the spirit and power of Elijah. What do you think that is? In the spirit and power. Is he Elijah? Is he in the spirit? What does that mean? What does that mean to you?
Who is the he?
John the Baptist.
John the Baptist coming.
I
I
don't
say
know.
ain't no wrong answer.
I don't know a lot on it. I
All
say
right, you say yeah? Okay, we'll dig a little more. We'll dig. We just went over the definition of spirit in the Strongs. The Strongs kind of heavy. You ain't really getting nothing out of that definition. You know, we got just some other usage of it, but but it didn't give me for me. It didn't give me no information. Pretty much, it kind of just it gave me a lot of different things it could be and how it's used, but the Stanford kind of gave us that in the spirit, or that being some kind of tradition or feeling or characteristics of an individual or nation that can be instilled on someone else. And we say certain things all the time, man. Man, you just like, man. That's that Uncle Earl reincarnated right there. Ain't nothing but another Uncle Earl. He talking about your nephews and the other kids coming up. Man, that ain't nothing but another Uncle Earl right there. That Morel. That's so and so.
I used to like it.
Go ahead, Doc.
My niece, man, the baby, she looked exactly like my mama.
Mm.
And when I seen, I said, man, that mama. I said, man, that look just like mama.
Mm.
Yeah, man. I
Yeah, come. We say that all the time. We be talking that all the time. You get around family, man. Let's look at Malachi 3:1 real swiftly, and it's just some of the again. What's the mission was? What's the mission of Elijah returning? And we're gonna see too, man. Some of these stats, the mindset of the people. And I say, for me, just because they think it back then don't necessarily mean it's right for me. I ain't saying but for me, just because the scribes felt a certain way, or just because certain these people, if it don't add up in the text for me, then I don't deal with it. I'm not just gonna be sold on because they thought this way back then. But we're gonna see how they thought. Malachi 3:1.
This is Malachi 3:1. It says, "Behold, I will send my messenger, and he shall prepare the way before me, and the Lord whom ye seek shall suddenly come to his temple, even the messenger of the covenant, whom ye delight in. Behold, he shall come, saith the Lord of hosts."
And we know, that sounds like a John mission. Let's look at Matthew chapter 16, verse 13. He's gonna be there to prepare a way for the Lord. And we know John was there. That was that was that was the main mission, really. That he prepared that way and was a testimony for Christ. And if I'm missing some precepts, man, y'all grab those, grab them precepts. I say it ain't but 9 slides. But I do feel I'm missing at least 2 or 3. Matthew 16. I'm missing at least 2 that I let slip out my head. I should have wrote them down.
It's the book of Matthew, chapter 16, verse 13. When Jesus came into the coast of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, saying, "Whom do men say that I, the Son of Man, am?" And they said, "Some say that thou art John the Baptist, some Elias, and others Jeremiah, or one of the prophets." He said unto them, But whom say ye that I am? And Simon Peter answered and said, Thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God.
And you see, you know, some say that you John the Baptist. Like, man, John the Baptist just died. Like, me and John 6 months apart. So you saying some people say, you know, I'm John the Baptist. Some say I'm Elijah. All right. Some say I'm Jeremiah. Some say you Jeremiah. Or one of these other prophets. Look at John 1 and 19. And again, I'm just saying, you know, just looking at what people are thinking and how they reverence, you know, how they reverence some of these people and what they felt about, you know, ultimately they felt John the Baptist was a prophet. I think we're gonna see that too. In this thing too. John 1, 19 through 23.
This is St. John chapter 1 and verse 19. And it reads, And this is the record of John, when the Jews sent priests and Levites from Jerusalem to ask him, Who art thou? And he confessed and denied not, but confessed, I am not the Christ.
Mm-hmm.
And they asked him, What then? Art thou Elias? And he said, I am not. Art thou that prophet? And he answered, No. Then said he unto him, Who art thou? That we may give an answer to them that sent us. What sayest thou of thyself? He said, I am the voice of one crying in the wilderness, Make straight the way of the Lord, as said the prophet Isaiah.
I think that's Isaiah 40 and 3. It's in Isaiah 40, I know, but I think it's 3. But we see here they're asking him, hey man, you know, these folk that said that's from Jerusalem. Who in the world are you? Are you Elijah? Huh? Are you the Christ? No. And again, we can gather from this, or we should be able to gather from this, that they are waiting for Elijah. They you know, they got a strong belief that Elijah is going to come. And when you talk about the Old Testament Israelites today, that's who they feel is going to come. I might have told y'all this a couple times, but I used to eat dinner with these. I was keeping Sabbath when I was first coming in with a family of Old Testament onlys, and they was telling me that they left the door open because Elijah could be coming in. You leave the door open for Elijah to come in. So when they ate their Sabbath dinner, or the pre-Sabbath dinner right on the day of Sabbath, whatever, that they thought Elijah was gonna come in, and I think they do that. The little hats do that traditionally for Passover also. They leave the door open for Elijah to come in there. And so there's a strong belief that, you know, hey, we know we supposed to be waiting on Elijah to come in. Where's Elijah? Where's Elijah? All right. But we see here, testimony of John. He tells him 3 times, nope, I'm not Christ. I'm not that prophet. And I'm not Elijah. All right. Uh-oh. Let's look at 2 Kings chapter 2. 2 Kings chapter 2 and verse 9. And then I'm going to ask y'all the same question again. I'm going to ask y'all the same question, but about this.
God,
Yeah, I got a question too.
Go ahead, Doc.
We're going to read this first because
Okay.
I got a feeling you're going to answer it with this, but go ahead. You got it out?
All right. It's the book of 2 Kings, chapter 2, verse 9. And it came to pass, when they were gone over, that Elijah said unto Elisha, Ask what I shall do for thee, before I be taken away from thee. And Elisha said, I pray thee, let a double portion of thy spirit be upon me. And he said, Thou hast asked a hard thing. Nevertheless, if thou see me when I am taken from thee, it shall be so unto thee. But if not, it shall not be so. And it came to pass, as they still went on and talked, that behold, there appeared a chariot of fire and horses of fire, and parted them both asunder. And Elijah went up by a whirlwind into heaven. And Elisha saw it, and he cried, my father, the chariot of Israel, and the horsemen thereof. And he saw him no more, and he took hold of his clothes and rent them in two pieces. He took up also the mantle of Elijah that fell from him, and went back and stood by the bank of Jordan. And he took the mantle of Elijah that fell from him, and smote the water, and said, where is the Lord God of Elijah? And when he also had smitten the water, they parted hither and thither, and Elisha went over. And when the sons of the prophet, which was to view at Jericho, saw him, they said, the spirit of Elijah doeth rest on Elisha. And they came to meet him and bowed themselves to the ground before him.
Shalakia. So we see in verse 9, Elisha asked for a double portion of the spirit of Elijah. All right. He asked for a double portion of the spirit of Elijah. Then we see in verse 14, we see that mantle coming down. And then verse 13, he takes them, Shalakia, he took also the mantle of Elijah that fell upon him, and went and stood by the bank of Jordan. He smote the waters, and look what the people said. And it went over, Shalakia, verse 15, and it says and when the sons of the prophets were to view Jericho, saw him, they said, the spirit of Elijah do resteth on Elisha. And they came and they met him and they bowed down. Here, this is what I'm saying. He said he got a double portion of the spirit of Elijah. And the sons of the prophets, they're saying, well, look, he's walking in the spirit of what they say? I don't want to add nothing to it. It says, they said the spirit of Elijah, the spirit of Elijah resteth on Elisha. And is this the same thing, or is this the same thing as he will be in the spirit, in the power of Elijah that we see with John? We see Elisha before this, with a double portion of the spirit of Elisha, and having some of the same powers of Elijah. Is this kind of the same? How do y'all feel about this? Or will we say Elisha became Elijah? Or will we say there's something a little different?
The only thing that sort of sways me is because the people that are viewing this, it's almost like they see a change. Like, it's a visual thing. So to take on his spirit, though, I wouldn't think that it would be a visual thing. But yeah, you got me there.
What they seen though was him hit the mantle, take the mantle, and hit and smoke the river, and the river split open.
Okay. So that says he might have took on some of the powers that Elijah had. But I thought there was okay.
So they seen him split that river. They see him split that, and they were like, "Man, the spirit of Elijah rests on him."
Yeah.
Hey, Shalakia, and another thing I see with that is right, like the whole spiritual aspect of it, the power of the spirit. The same thing about that fruit of the spirit. What Paul talked about. Taking on this fruit of the spirit, which for me is the same spirit of Christ. You know what I mean? That don't mean literally that you are Christ, but you still walking in that same spirit, just like Elijah was doing in Elijah. And so that's the way I see it. He had the same spirit as he was walking in, but he wasn't Elijah in the flesh. Not you.
Mm-hmm.
Shalakia.
Go ahead, Doc.
I look at the spirit for me as being on the same page. like you say, he got that spirit and he smoked the water, that power. Not to say that they the same people, but if it's safe to say that spirit, it the same page. I get.
And I kind of see this that way also myself. And also like what I was saying too, with when we say we're in the spirit of Christ. When we say that we had the fruits of the spirit, we're not saying that we're literally Christ, but we are taking on those characteristics and those traits, walking as he walked. But do we apply this to John the Baptist and Elijah? Do we apply this? Shalom, Sister Celicia and Sister Latasha. Go ahead, brother.
See, that in my opinion, it's sort of like in my situation, being you was the teacher since I've been in this thing. And if I get up to teach, I would probably use at least once that toy analogy that you always use. About give me my toy. You didn't want one paying attention to the toy until somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Like taking on that type of spirit. You know what I'm saying? That's similar. If you know what I'm saying.
Absolutely. Camps have a spirit. Camps have a certain spirit. I know somebody GMS just by looking at them. I kind of know if somebody's IUIC just by looking at them. I know, you can kind of tell. You kind of tell, brothers have spirit. You become one body. So camps have a spiritual aspect to them also. Because we're dealing with each other. We're learning from each other. And we take on each other's characteristics.
Because Shalakia, I'm sorry. All right, one more point. Because if we saying that Elijah, that this is now Elijah, then we have to consider a person regenerating back on the earth.
Absolutely.
You remember we had that conversation. We had that conversation before about every 3 or 3rd or 4th generation, a person comes back to the earth. So we would have to have that conversation again if that's the truth.
If we go that route, and whoever dealing with, like I said, I'm just laying the puzzle out. To be honest with you, I'm not here to give you a definitive answer, just to spoil the I'm just here to lay just lay some of the things we have to think about. And then, we can come to a conclusion. We can walk away and say, I kind of feel that is this, or I kind of feel that is that. But it's hard to really be absolute on this subject, to be honest. For me anyway. But let's look at Sirach 48. But you're right, Ak, it's a whole doctrine that comes with the people coming back. And if you take that route, if you saying that, you're just in the spirit, he's just in the spirit of Elijah, then you have to say, well, nah, people are not. It's gonna be hard for you to teach that doctrine or hold on to that doctrine, and you take that because that's the main verse that we use to establish the reincarnation or regeneration. I know people are getting on us about the difference, but yeah, you're gonna run into some problems if you take this verse away. You take John away. You take that John example away, and that to me too. That's problematic. And why wouldn't you use? Is that the only example? Is John the Baptist the only example of someone being someone else? Of him being Elijah? Is there another example that we can use? But let's look at again, just trying to see the mindset of our people back then. It's Sirach 48 and 10. And if you go to verse 1, you'll see that this is all talking about Elijah. All right, and some of the characteristics of Elijah. But we just need that 10. You can read it off the screen.
This is Ecclesiasticus chapter 48 and 10. Who was ordained for reproofs in their times, to pacify the wrath of the Lord's judgment, before it break forth into fury, and to turn the heart of the father unto the son, and to restore the tribes of Jacob.
All right, so they felt that Elijah, we see some felt that Elijah would, turn again. This is part of it, and this was also in John's description of what he was going to do. Restore the tribes of Jacob. That wasn't in. I don't think that was in his description, but they did feel that, Elijah would do this. All right, Elijah was going to be there for that. And we also see that too with when I think I'm gonna have it in here though. Let me just go to it. All right, is Elijah coming or not? Malachi 4. Go back to Malachi 4 and 5. Or go back to Malachi, rather. Is he coming or not?
It's the book of Malachi, chapter 4, verse 5. Behold, I will send you Elijah, the prophet, before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. And he shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their father, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse.
All right, at least I come and smite the earth. But he's, again, just like we just read in the Sirach, he's going to turn the heart of the fathers and the children. We don't have the gathering, but we know that before that great day, there's it's a gathering. When that great day happens, it's a gathering there, in that eschatology, in that timeline also. Matthew 17 and 10. Matthew 17 and 10. Well, we know those. He's supposed to be coming before the great and dreadful day.
This is Matthew chapter 17, verse 10. And his disciples asked him, saying, why then say the scribes that Elias must first come? And Jesus answered and said unto them,
Shalaki, can you start at verse 1 for me? So start at verse 1 on this one. I think I had the transfiguration in there.
That's the 10th. This is Matthew chapter 17 and verse 1. And after 6 days, Jesus taketh Peter, James, and John his brother, and bringeth them up into high mountain apart, and was transfigured before them. And his face did shine as the sun, and his raiment was as white as the light. And behold, there appeared unto them Moses and Elias talking with them. Then answered Peter and said unto Jesus, Lord, is it good for us to be here? If thou wilt, let us make here 3 tabernacles, one for 3, and one for Moses, and one for Elias. One for thee, and one for Moses, and one for Elias. While he yet spake, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them, and behold, a voice out of the cloud, which said, This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Hear ye him. And when the disciples heard it, they fell on their face and were sore afraid. And Jesus came and touched them and said, Arise, and be not afraid. And when they had lifted up their eyes, they saw no man, save Jesus only. And as they came down from the mountains, Jesus charged them, saying, Tell the vision to no man, until the Son of Man be risen again from the dead. And his disciples asked him, saying, Why then say the scribes that Elias must first come?
And see, that's why we needed that other part, because we have a part where Christ is telling them, hey, don't tell nobody about what you just seen until I've risen from the dead. And so for them, you rising from the dead, meaning you gonna bring the kingdom in. We know that because when he rose back, that was one of the first things that they were asking him. Hey, you finna bring back the kingdom. And so now the disciples are saying, well, wait, don't Elijah supposed to come first? Well, Elijah. Don't the scribes tell us that why are the scribes telling us that Elijah must come first? Go ahead.
And Jesus answered and said unto them, Elias truly shall first come and restore all things. But I say unto you that Elias is come already, and they knew him not, but have done unto him whatsoever they listed. Likewise shall also the Son of Man suffer of them. Then the disciples understood that he spake unto them of John the Baptist.
All right, so the disciples understood it was John the Baptist that they were speaking that Christ was speaking of. And for me, you really can't argue with this, man. We gotta yield a little bit. Like I said, I'm with everything everybody said thus far, but it's like when you hear Christ saying, "Well, no, this is John," we have to decide in what capacity is he John? Because we have to say, well, if Christ is saying he was Elijah, he was Elijah. But I think the argument comes in what capacity was he Elijah? And I think that's what we're really answering. But it can be just plain, that Christ said he Elijah. But I don't think it's that simple. I think it's a little more complex. And I think we have to look into what capacity he was in, and some of the stuff that we were saying earlier about having the same spirit, having the same characteristics, having some of the same mission. That as Elijah or as Elisha had the spirit of Elijah rest on him. Could this be the same thing? Could this be what Christ is saying when he's saying that Elijah has come already? And them understanding that who he was talking about was John the Baptist. And he suffered, same things. He suffered a terrible death just as the Son of Man must do. All right. If you receive it, we'll see what he told them again in the beginning. Matthew 11:11. And this is actually the last slide here. Or the last verse.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 11, verse 11. Verily I say unto you, among them that are born of woman, there have not risen a greater than John the Baptist. Notwithstanding he that is least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he. And from the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven suffered violence, and the violent take it by force. For all the prophets and the law prophesied unto John. And if ye will receive it, this is Elias, which was for to come. He that have ears to hear, let him hear.
And we just read, what was that, Matthew 17? Matthew 17, later in where he's pretty much finna get ready to go on that cross. We see that they still having trouble perceiving. They didn't receive it. They didn't receive it at this point. Because they had to be reminded. They just didn't come out and say they still looking for Elijah. Well, why ain't Elijah came? So evidently, when he said this right here, we can conclude they just shrugged that off. Until he said it again in Matthew 17, like, man, Elijah did come. And then they perceive, oh yeah, he's talking about John the Baptist. That's what he and so, I used to play with that. If you receive it, and I used to make this conditional. If you're able to receive it, because the kingdom didn't. And does the Malachi before he comes, does that have a timeline on it? Can Elijah or whoever we consider an Elijah to be, or let's say it's John the Baptist, does that prophecy have, when it says before the great day, does that have to be like the same year? You see what I'm saying? Could that be okay? Elijah comes, and then 2,000 years later, the great day comes. Does that prophecy still hold weight with John the Baptist being Elijah? And that's just one's methodology or opinion on how they wanted to break that, how they would want to break that down. But ultimately, like I say, man, for it to make sense for me, I do lean more towards it being a spiritual aspect or traits, characteristics of Elijah, which will make him Elijah. And I would use 2 Kings 2 to establish what it means to be in the spirit. And I also would throw in some of, being in the spirit of Christ or walking in the spirit. I would use some of that also to establish that thought. But 2 Kings also would be a heavy verse for me to establish that it wasn't that he was Elijah, but then also when we get into the two witnesses, and I ain't really want to get into that, but when we get into the two witnesses, some of us feel it's Elijah. Some people feel it's Moses and Enoch. Some people feel it's Elijah and Enoch. But Elijah is in that mix of thought on who the two witnesses are, and the two witnesses come before. Most people feel them two witnesses come before the great day. And would that be a physical Elijah? Or would it be again another person that has the spirit of Elijah on them? And these just all questions that one would have to answer, that one would have to, kind of conclude on itself. So again, I'm not here to tell you if he is, if he ain't. I watched a lot of other information on this, and it pretty much everybody everybody's kind of humble enough to say, hey, it could be, it probably is, it is, and it ain't. He is and he ain't. Y'all brothers got anything to add, anything other than that? If not, man, we will close this thing up, man. And I hope y'all took some of this stuff and you have some questions for yourself. You can look into these things, but like I said, ain't no right or wrong answer with this one for me. But it does, we can get a little closer or nail it down a little more, so to see if we can substantiate these other doctrines like the regeneration, and everybody continuing to come back, and also that leads to no eternal life, and that we're continuing to come back. Everybody's continuing to come back, continue to come back. Surprisingly, I've seen another camp saying, kind of concluding to that. That's what made me do the class with using John the Baptist saying that, you see, if you keep the commandments, you'll never die. Even using Moses, and we know Moses died, but we see people even saying, well, so and so's in the spirit of this, and he's King David returned, and he is this returned, and then Christ was Solomon, and he was, and so it brings a lot of other doctrines the way we lean, but most of us lean that he's physically Elijah, and he just don't know it. And if that spirit of Elijah is always there, that's another question I have. If that spirit of Elijah is continuing to be passed down into other, is there really a John, or John don't exist? Is there a spirit of John? Go ahead, Doc.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, so that brings up 2 points, because if once Christ returns and you get your everlasting, your immortal body, then that would be the gift of the kingdom. So the people that didn't make it, like that weren't the elect, they might have to still regenerate, but the prize is everlasting life, and only so many people are gonna get that. And if we can prove or disprove the regeneration, then that would help this argument of this debate. We probably need to look more into that and get some understanding on that. But if, like you said, you if you are immortal, once you get to the kingdom, for the elect, say that the elect are immortal, that would be, in my opinion, just looking at it from a carnal state, that would be a prize for your obedience, and your works. That'll be the prize for the fruits that you did on this earth. But the people that didn't quite make that elect status, they will still regenerate, or I, I'm still trying to get a hold of that thought process, but it would make sense that everybody can't have immortal bodies. That would be a prize for an elect. So just that hierarchy, and that would be, in my opinion, the ultimate gift is the immortal, eternal life, and sitting with the Messiah and the God and the Most High. So that's how you.
Yeah, I get what I feel you on that. It's just, why they get to come back? They just get to come back till they get it right. You die, just keep coming back. So some people are saying that the death is, and you coming back, is a prize. It's not the ultimate prize. It ain't, eternal life. It ain't, and some people even mock at, like, some of our brothers mocked at that, saying that's dealing with some Greek stuff. But I've seen another group say, well, hey, it's if you're doing right, if you live your life here and you do right until Christ returns, all of these people are coming back. They just keep coming back, keep coming back, keep coming back, keep coming back. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I'm just giving you the method that they're saying that this is a prize, that for you to die and to come back. And then, like, come on, man, like, if this thing going the way it's going and you die, you come back 20, 30 years from now, it's 200 degrees outside. I don't know, man.
Is that
I
a
don't want to
prize?
see this world. I don't want to see this world 50 years from now like this, man. I don't want to see that mess, man. Oh,
Hey, Shalakia.
go ahead, brother.
I think sometimes for me, the way I look at the text is the consistency of the Most High. And so, like, how sometimes we debate about polygamy and whatever, but you don't see the attribute of the Most High doing at the beginning. And so, and I think that the Garden of Eden and what that was supposed to look like at the beginning is how the kingdom of heaven gonna be. Like what God true natural intent was from the beginning. I think that's what we're going back to. And so when we look at this thing from hindsight, like we was talking about John the Baptist, and I'm gonna just use this analysis. Like when you see after Adam sinned, and then he chose Seth. And what was his other son? First it was Abel. Then what came out to Seth? Is it Seth?
Cain and Abel.
And then what was the other son? He became a god of Seth. I think it's Seth, but I'm getting god of Seth. And then you seen him doing with Enoch. Then you seen him do it with Abram, and then you seen him do it with Noah. And so the consistency, all of it is the same spirit. Because when you look at Abraham, why did he choose Abraham? Because Abraham and his willingness to live right by the Most High. Same thing with Noah, right? And so these spirits are consistent with how the Most High go about choosing prophets, right? And so when you go into John the Baptist, I'm gonna read a couple of precepts real quick. So when you go into John the Baptist, I'm gonna just paralyze what I mean paralyze. I'm gonna just what I'm looking for? Paraphrase the water. I'm gonna just paraphrase to how it kind of fit the mold of Elijah, right? So you went to Malachi 3, but when you go to verse 1, it says, "Behold, I will send my messenger, and he shall prepare the way before me, and the Lord whom ye seek shall suddenly come to his temple, even the messenger of the covenant." And that's important because he's preparing the way, even the messenger of the covenant, whom ye delight in. Behold, he shall come, said the Lord of hosts. So John the Baptist had a specific duty. And it's a lot like Elijah, when Elijah was, warning people of God's destruction. But John the Baptist came in that same spirit, right? And I'm going to show you, like, this messenger right here was John the Baptist. I'm going to pull it up in Mark. I'm going to pull up Mark 1. I'm going to start at verse 1. It say, "The beginning of the gospel of Jesus Christ, the Son of God, as it is written in the prophets, behold, I send my messenger before thy face, which shall prepare thy way before thee. The voice of one crying in the wilderness, prepare ye the way of the Lord, make his path straight. John did baptize in the wilderness and preached the baptism of repentance for the remission of sin." So this is what John, specifically John, was to do, is to turn Israel, the first century Jews' heart back to the Most High in the faith of Christ. Let them know Christ coming. Y'all better get this stuff right. So his job was to prepare their heart back to the Father, right? So I'm gonna go to Chronicles, 2 Chronicles 21 and 12. 2 Chronicles 21 and 12. And it says, "And there came a writing to him from Elijah the prophet, saying, Thus said the Lord God of David, thy father, because thou hast not walked in the ways of Jehoshaphat thy father, nor in the ways of Asa, the king of Judah, but has walked in the ways of the king of Israel, and has made Judah an inhabitants of Jerusalem to go a whoring like to a whoredoms of the house of Ahab, and also has slain thy brethren of thy father's house, which were better than thyself. Behold, with a great plague will the Lord smite thy people, and thy children, and thy wives, and all thy goods, and thou shalt have great sickness by disease of thy bowels, until the bowels fall out of the reasons of the sickness day by day." So Elijah was also trying to turn Judah back to the Most High, but when they refused, this plague came upon them. And that's the same thing that John the Baptist was doing, telling them, if you did not accept this Christ, when you go into John 1 and 1, and he was saying that it's the one coming after me whose shoes I can't fulfill. And then it was like it was almost like a mockery thing of who John was, what his mission was, and Israel was just like Elijah. They didn't accept Elijah. It was the same thing with John the Baptist. So I think for me, that kind of going into the same spirit of Elijah, warning Israel if they didn't repent. I know a lot of prophets did that, but with John the Baptist, it was more specific on Christ and being that same spirit that Elijah was in, that he would not come back on what he was telling the people, whether they came back or not. So I think it was kind of like the same spirit.
And it's just some things in that spiritual realm it's just above us, did that. Like when John the Baptist died, and we see Elijah during the transfiguration. Are we saying, it's one who takes the stance that he is physically Elijah, like he's physically and spiritually, it's the same person. And he did do fully agree with what you said. Like he did do. I don't know if he did everything, but he did majority of what Elijah was come to do. It's only the only aspect missing from that is ushering in the. But that's if you don't that's if you don't hold to that step. But if you don't believe the kingdom was established when Christ, Christ was walking the earth, or after the death, burial, and resurrection. If you believe that the kingdom did get established, or the kingdom is established now, then he has fulfilled everything. We seen though the disciples didn't really believe that. They were still looking for the kingdom even after John had been killed. And they were still looking not just for John, but they were looking for Elijah. Why ain't Elijah came yet? But if you take that stance, then yeah, John the Baptist. You take the stance that the kingdom has been established. Then John the Baptist is he fulfilled everything that Elijah was supposed to do. But if not, then he still had to bring in the kingdom, and I still feel he has to bring in the kingdom, and I do. That's why I feel he's gonna be there, one of those two witnesses. To usher that in. It was another thing I was missing too, is that John means bringer of grace, or Yah is graceful, or it's something dealing with grace. And we knowing that that kind of that dispensation of grace was also ushered in before John, which is allowing us to get in it, to get in there. So it could be that. But again, all of these questions, I have more questions than I have answers, unfortunately. Brother Michael, you got anything?
I was just trying to find some stuff myself. And it seemed like hold on just a minute. I had it, man.
Nah, you good. But yeah, it's it's just one of those things, man. You know what I'm saying? I do feel he did exactly. He was running in the spirit, but I still don't really feel that he's a regenerated Elijah. I feel that he has that same spirit, and like I was saying too, it's a spirit that's been given throughout the text. It's a spirit that's been given throughout the text and make ones powerful. It's a spirit even on spirit given to the disciples, before they went on their mission, and they were given the power to do certain things and so forth, and to be a testimony and a witness. I feel that's that them giving that spirit. I feel that's the same thing, but they get ready to close on out, Brother Michael. Did you find it?
Yeah, I was just looking to see what Elijah's name meant. He said,
okay.
Yahweh is my God. He will consume with zeal for the Lord, devoted to observing and restoring the worship of the one true God.
Right.
If you look at the characteristic and that spirit, that's what all their mission was.
Con.
So if you look at it, bring you back to Most High.
Con, that's I had brothers was telling me, commenting saying, man, Brother Phoenix, he just always talking down on Israel, man. He kind of just always talk down on Israel. But it's like, brother, like if you the prophet only comes really the prophet really only coming to give you a judgment. And then he gives you a judgment, and then after a while he come back to tell you, okay, he gonna bring you up out of y'all, I'm tired of whipping you. He gonna bring you up out of there. But it's rarely good news coming from prophets. It's rarely good news. You see, King's like, man, don't even go get that Joker. That was said, man, don't even get Elijah. I don't even want to. That Harry Joker, he ain't never telling me no good news. Don't go get that Joker. We didn't want to hear no prophecy from that Joker. And so majority of the text with Israel is bad news, man. All right, it's just what it is. And then we have a redemption. And that's why the end is a redemption, because we just constantly being disobedient. And he has to send saviors. Why you gotta send saviors and prophets? Because of disobedience and trying to get us out of this thing. But that's just what it is, man. If we gonna teach the text, it's gonna be majority bad news, man. It's gonna be majority bad news, but it'll be overshadowed with the redemption. But I don't have nothing else, y'all. Go ahead, bro.
And so what Israel got to realize, right? And I tried to get Israel a little bit this and that, but what Israel got to realize is that the Most High hold Israel to a higher standard. He hold Israel to a higher standard, and that's what I'm saying. I know we came in, with the expectation that it was going to be all sunshine and and rain. I mean, sunshine and no cloud in sight. But actually, the whole thing about letting them go through the fire and being refined, the refined part is the correction part. The refined part is to get Israel ready as a bride for her adorning. And so, look, man, like when women's get ready for their husbands and say, let's say they 20 pounds overweight, that trying to look great on that wedding day ain't gonna always be beautiful. You got to put on a girdle here. You got to tuck in something here. You know what I mean? You need 5 people to help you get in your dress. It ain't always, the end result always look good, but getting to that point always be a struggle. So Israel, just hold on.
Gotta endure to the end, and it's our fault. Really shouldn't have them, but the Pentateuch. Should have had them but the 5:5, but we got these other books and these other prophets because we weren't doing what we supposed to do. So I can't just read you Deuteronomy 7 and tell you how great you are and tell you how lovely and special you are. This ain't that channel, man. You are great, special people, a royal priesthood, but we gotta get ourselves together, man. We gotta straighten ourselves out. We gotta get on that. We gotta stay on that straight and narrow. And if you got a coach, man, your coach wants you to be better. He not just gonna be doing, slapping you on the butt and telling you good words all the time, man. He gonna be yelling and blowing that whistle sometimes to let you know the importance of staying on track, man, and getting better, man. And getting better, mortifying the flesh more and more, and humbling ourselves. When Joker already think he's state champion. He already got in his head, I'm state champion, man. I don't need to be practicing like that. I don't need to be doing that. Sometimes you got to light a fire up on the people, and that's a lot of times what I try to do is Israel, man. Just provoke thought, and even here today, man, we just try to provoke thought with this thing, man. Y'all brothers got anything else?
Well, it's like it was food for thought, and it definitely got the juice flowing. How you?
Going all praises. All right, with that Israel, man, we gonna say shalom. Y'all be blessed, man, and we'll see y'all on the next. We'll see you on Friday on Bring It Out TV. Y'all willing, man. Before you hit the door, man, y'all hit that like, subscribe button, notification bell, so forth. And, feel free to hit the comment board if you got any other information to add to the conversation. All that's welcome, man. This is not a competition. We not trying to cut each other. We just trying to get understanding on the specific topic, man. And the closer we can get to that, closer we can get to truth, closer we can, get to unification, the closer we can get to the kingdom and getting up out of here, man. I'll see y'all on the next one. Shalom, Israel.
Shalom.
Shalom.